Okay, what up, YouTube? What up, Detroit? Back to you with another video. This is Noble Creation TV, and my name is Rail. Um, Basically, I'm back to you with this video, and this video is basically about the Detroit Pistons and what I feel the type of player the Detroit Pistons need to draft. It's just my opinions um, and what I think the Detroit Pistons need. To me, the Detroit Pistons lack a consistent scorer and a guy that can play defense as well. Our defense was horrible. The Pistons have always been known for their defense and being able to either slow the game down or be able to defend well. And this year was a lot of inconsistent play, and we see that by Andre Drummond not even making it to it. This should have been Andre Drummond's second year making an All-Star team, and that did not happen. And the reason why it did not happen, to me, the All-Star game is sometimes it can be overrated. And they don't play the All-Star game like they used to play. Like, everybody being in the position that they play in. Like, the center needs to be the center. The power forward needs to be the power forward. The small forward needs to be the small forward. Point guard needs to be the point guard. And what I feel, I just want to say this before, going into more in depth about the Pistons. What I feel is that a lot of centers that are playing well in the league are not making the All-Star team, and that's not a good thing. When you got your big guy out there averaging a double double and playing good defense and doing the things that he do, but like Andre Drummond is definitely he has the potential to be a real great player, and he just needs to get better on defense. As I've been to some of the games and watched the games, um, hey Dre, man, if you're watching this video, man, love your game, but you definitely need to just get better on defense. That's why I see, and if you can develop like at least a 10 or 12 foot jump shot, that's what I see a lot of the other centers have in their game that you may not have in your game, that allows them to be able to scratch the floor on you. And what I mean by that is you got guys like Anthony Davis who can play inside and outside and block shots. You got a guy like who else? You got a guy like I'm trying to think of another player that's um, Hassan Whiteside, who can block shots, defend well, and score the baskets in the post area. And Dre, for you to get better, man, and to be an elite center and a perennial all-star, you just got to work on your defense, baby, and get better on defense. But what I saw out of the Pistons this year was just a lot of inconsistent play. And starting from number one, this year, the Pistons have to have somebody that's a leader, that's going to lead the guys. And Dre Drummond should be the one. Dre Drummond, Reggie, and Marcus Morris should be guys that get other guys motivated. To me, I think somebody needs to come off the bench. And what I mean by that, I believe that Stanley Johnson should be at that small forward position. He should be starting. I went to a lot of the games this year, man, and I saw like Stanley Johnson not playing, and I seen like John Lord taking a lot of the minutes that Stanley was getting last year, and I couldn't understand it. I don't know what was going on with Stanley Johnson and Coach Van Gundy, but a lot of the minutes that Stanley was playing in his rookie year, he was not given those minutes. And his, some say it might be a lack of confidence. Some say he was not aggressive enough, or whatever. But I just feel like Stanley Johnson does have the potential to be a great player with more minutes and more time. We saw that in his rookie season. What Stanley has to do is not be afraid to take the shot and learn how to take your guy off the dribble, because he has the quickness to do it, to take the man off the dribble. He just needs to get consistent with it and get consistent with his jump shot, and he'll be okay. But I do think that one of our guys need to come off the bench, whether it's Marcus or Tobias, because one of those guys can give us fire off the bench while we have a younger guy in there that can fill it up. And so basically, the type of player I feel that the Detroit Pistons need to draft is a guy that's a consistent scorer and that can play defense and defend well, and somebody that can get buckets, because you want somebody that can score. And even as I watched, even as even though this is a Detroit Pistons video, but I'm just saying, like, I'm talking about some other players in this video, but like little Isaiah Thomas, he's only 5'9", but the guy can get his shot off at any time. Um, he can beat his man off the dribble to be able to get his shot off, and he's dangerous, man. To be as small as he is, and he averaging 29 points a game, and it's kind of like crazy, but you know what I'm saying. I just see the Pistons needing to, more so than anything, be consistent. Start winning games. Take it back to the level that you guys was on, because you guys regressed this year instead of moving forward, because that's what you thought when a team enters the playoffs for the first time together as a unit. You know, they're building that camaraderie. And that's what I felt like the Detroit Pistons should have been able to do, is build some type of camaraderie with one another and be able to be more consistent. And the reason why we wasn't consistent, I believe, because out the box, Reggie Jackson was injured. He was hurt. And you had Ish come in, and Ish played well for us. Don't get me wrong. Ish is a good player, and I like Ish. But I knew that Reggie just did not play like the Reggie that we had in that second season, that was busting 40 on people and putting up 20 points and averaging almost 20 a game. That's the Reggie that the Pistons need back. And they may get that Reggie this year. So, he had to sit out for the remainder of the last games last time. But, it was all to get the team to flow right. So, the type of player the Detroit Pistons need to draft this year is a guy that can fill it up and a guy that can play defense. There's not many Klay Thompsons out there, or Jimmy Butlers, the guys that can play two-way, Kawhi Leonard. It's not a lot of guys that can do that or be consistent with that. And we just need to get somebody that can score and play defense. And we need guys that can defend well. And I think what the Detroit Pistons need to really work on is playing better defense. Guys are going to score. That's just part of the game. You're not going to shut down a guy every night and all that type of stuff. But, guys will score. Sometimes guys off the bench will have great games. But the thing of it is just being consistent and playing with the consistency and the urgency to win games. Now that the Pistons are moving from Auburn Hills and going downtown Detroit, that's gonna bring revenue to Detroit. It's going to open up another market in Detroit, as far as like a lot of people being able to come to the game that was not able to come to the game. So, and they're already building a state of the art stadium. So can't wait to see what these guys are going to do. Hoping Andre Drummond can return back to All-Star form, and that one of our guys, and I believe it should be Tobias, because we seen that Tobias can come off the bench and still fill it up, and he was probably the most consistent player on the team. The best defender on the team, hands down, is KCP. Everybody knows that KCP is our best defender, and that's why KCP plays a lot of minutes. So basically, the Pistons are going to have to get better on defense. Andre Drummond is going to have to get better in his game. As far as, he may not never be a great free throw shooter. Shaquille O'Neal was not a great free throw shooter, and there's some other guys in the league that was not great free throw shooters, but they were guys that can get baskets and do other things. So what I see that Andre Drummond needs to work on is his defense and trying to develop at least a 10-foot or 12-foot jump shot to be able to help his game out, because a lot of the players that he play against can hit threes on him and take him out. Like, you got guys like DeMarcus Cousins that can hit threes and also play in the post. And I'm not saying that's what Andre Drummond needs to do, because his game is not that type of way. But, Andre Drummond is like a traditional big man. He does what a big man is supposed to do, and that's play in the post, not be outside hitting threes and shooting threes. But, this is the new millennium type of thing where, you got the big guys out now hitting threes, and nothing's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with that if you got a guy that can hit them. But at the same time, Andre Drummond game is basically like a traditional big man. So the Pistons need to get better on defense. Um, I don't know if they should trade anybody, because the team that they got have good chemistry together. But those guys just got to get more consistent together. So I'm hoping that when the Pistons do draft, they draft a player that can play offense and defense. And you got to start using your rookies, because you don't know what you got on the bench until you start using it. So none of us really know how Michael Benajay game is. None of us really know how Henry Ellison game is. We saw bits and pieces of their game. And the reason, back to Stanley Johnson, the reason why I think Stanley Johnson regressed this season is because his minutes was being taken. The minutes, like I said, the minutes that John Lure was playing should have been the minutes that Stanley Johnson should have been playing. And, maybe it was confidence. Maybe it was just, he had a lot on his mind, or just he was just overthinking sometimes out on the floor. So I'll be back to you guys soon with another video.